the Obama administration releasing this new policy on drones where they can drop drones on American citizens overseas. Now, the problem with this is how vague some of the terminology is. Now, I got to tell you, I have zero problem dropping a drone or a missile from a drone on an American citizen overseas that's working for Al-Qaeda and that is plotting against American interests and planning to attack American interests, American people, American citizens. I got zero problem with that. They become an enemy combatant at that point. I got zero problem with it. But sort of the problem here with the 16-page memo that has surfaced is how vague some of the language is here. The memo, for instance, says this: the condition that an operational leader present an imminent threat of violent attack against the United States does not require the United States to have clear evidence that a specific attack on U.S. persons and interests will take place in the immediate future. So he just got to be thinking about it. Or we may not even have any evidence that he's planning to attack U.S. interests. We're still going to drop a drone on him, and I think that is dangerously vague. Now, here is Mika Brzezinski, clip one. She admits, look, if Bush had issued this memo, this 16-page memo with this kind of vague language, ACLU and the liberals would have been apoplectic about this. Let's listen.
This is so frightening.
Democrats need to now think back about how they conducted themselves and the questions they raised about Bush administration tactics. I didn't raise those questions as aggressively as some of my friends did, but I think it's important that everybody take a step back and take a breather here, particularly Democrats.
Because this would be as questionable, if not more questionable.
If this were happening and his name was Bush, I think there would be a lot of criticism coming at this president.
If George Bush, Mika, had done this, it would have been stopped.
I think it would have been certainly a huge controversy that would have erupted. And the question is, how many questions will this administration face on?
Well, the answer is probably none, because the members of the press are simply ministers of propaganda. Now, one of the things I have suggested for some time, and I'll probably do a column on this, revisiting this issue, is I believe we ought to bring the practice of Islamic immigration to an end. I think we ought to stop Islamic immigration. I think we ought to stop the building of mosques. Now, with regard to stopping Islamic immigration, Congress can do whatever it wants. Congress is in total control of the criteria that have to be satisfied for you to legally immigrate to the United States. If Congress says no more Muslims, then we won't have any more Muslim immigration. That can be the rule. I mean, they have to be enforced. But what I'm saying, they can establish a policy. No more Muslims because it's a totalitarian ideology. They can say that, and potentially, theoretically, if we had a honest and just administration, Muslim immigration would stop at that point. And according to the founders, the issue of regulation of religious expression was to be left entirely in the hands of the states. That's the whole point of the First Amendment. Federal government's going to have nothing to do with it. This is a state issue. Regulation of religious expression was reserved to the states. Remember, 9 of the 13 states at the time of the founding had established churches in their states, and the founders set it up that way. So states have the authority under our Constitution, our federal Constitution. States have the authority to ban mosques in their state. If they want to do it, they have the constitutional leeway and latitude to do it. Now, Geert Wilders, he's a politician over in Holland. He's been one of the ones that's been leading the charge to raise awareness of the hazards of Muslim immigration and to lead the effort to stop the building of mosques. And here he is in a speech, and he's inspired by a similar movement in the UK. But here's Geert Wilders. Now, you got to listen because he speaks with an accent. But here's Geert Wilders saying, look, we need to stop the building of mosques because of the totalitarian ideology. Let's listen.
As a political party in the Dutch Parliament, we started a website called mosqueno.nl. And we want to support every organization, every neighborhood, every person who wants to stop building of a mosque. If you have to translate, you have to hear what I say. You have to translate. I said we started we started a website to help people, and we use the current Dutch laws to either frustrate or postpone or to stop the building of mosques. And we're also going to tour. We're going to as a leader of my political party, together with some other people, we go to every place with a lot of publicity and we tell them what they can do to stop the mosque being built there. And it has been, we started a tour last week and it is an enormous success. People from all over Holland where new mosques are being built, we almost have 500, 450, between 450 and 500 mosques in Holland. Everybody wants help to stop the Islamization because once again, people believe that the mosque in their neighborhood is the worst thing that can happen. It's a token of a totalitarian ideology that really should not be in the neighborhoods, in the cities of our countries.
Yeah, so Geert Wilders said, look, a mosque is a symbol of a totalitarian ideology. And the Supreme Court, the Congress, by the way, banned communist immigration to the United States, I think in the 1950s, and the Supreme Court upheld that. The Supreme Court said, look, Congress can decide what characteristics. So if we want to ban Muslims because of their totalitarian ideology, just like we banned communists because of their totalitarian ideology, then it's perfectly appropriate to do it. Let's grab a phone call before the break. Let's go to Jay, Chesterfield, Virginia. Jay, you're on Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian Fisher.
Hey.
God bless you all. Keep
Thank
on
you.
holding the banner of truth. Keep proclaiming it.
We'll keep doing it.
The immigration thing, something I haven't heard much about yet, and that's, the crime aspect, I think, has been dampened. In the largely male and largely young population of Spanish folks we have here in America, there hasn't been as much crime as I think you're going to see if you take away the motivation that would be, if we get caught, not only are we going to be punished, we'll be deported. Once they're allowed to be here for free, no deportation, I think that those that are inclined to break bad will do so more often than what you're seeing now. I have some friends in law enforcement, friends in the Spanish community that were in law enforcement in their own countries, and have had a lot of talks with them about this. And there's a lot of agreement on it.
All right. Well, that's definitely an issue that we got to, take into consideration, looking at the overall immigration issue. And, if you allow people to break the law with impunity, that is by trespassing our borders, then people lose respect for the rule of law. And then if you go and try to enforce the law, they think there's something unjust and unfair about that. Focal Point, AFR Talk, back in 2.